Welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and we're doing those one of those what's the differences? Let's talk about the difference of in A Song of Ice and Fire character. And this is a big one. This is a really big one. This might take a minute because we're talking about Osha, not Asha. We're talking about Osha, the wildling, right? So this is where I take a character from the A Song of Ice and Fire books and compare them to their show counterpart, in this case from the Game of Thrones show. And yeah, we're talking about Osha. And yeah, it's going to be a long one. I told myself I wasn't going to cover characters this big, and yeah, I'm still doing it. So if you've never been here before, my name is Taco, and I do these all in one big long take. I don't do any editing. If that doesn't sound like something you like, then, you know, bye. And yeah, I also try to make really stupid jokes to just ruin it for you. That's not my goal to ruin it. It's just, I don't know. I guess it happens. All right, let's talk about the show first. And yeah, the wildling, Osha. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, Osha is portrayed by Natalia Tena. Osha was a sarcastic, brave, and courageous wildling spearwife who used to live beyond the wall. Like most other wildlings, Osha worshipped the old gods. Osha once had a husband named Bruni, who she said she loved dearly, but one day he disappeared. One night he returned to their hut as a white, that's like a zombie, right? And Osha had no choice but to burn her hut down with him trapped inside. I didn't say spoilers. Spoilers for the Game of Thrones show and the book. All right. I'm glad I said that in the first slide. There wasn't really anything too much in the first slide if you read ahead. But yeah, so this does go all the way past the books in the show and pretty far in the books. So yeah, spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about the A Song of Ice and Fire books or shows, that's what I'm doing here. I'm reciting all the facts we know, and then I'm going to talk about the difference. So we're going to cover the show first, and then the book, and then we're going to talk about what the differences are. Should have said that before I started. All right, here we go. Did I mention I'm tired? All right. Osha joined Stiv and Wallen to form a band of wildlings to go south and abandon their service to Mance Rayder. The group made it all the way to Winterfell. They chance upon Bran and try to steal his horse in the Wolveswood, right? Robb Stark intervenes, killing Wallen and disarming Osha, and Stiv is killed. Stiv? Are we going to go with Stiv? Killed by Theon. Osha surrenders to Robb, and he takes her to Winterfell. Osha is later put to work as a servant for House Stark. Theon doesn't like that she won't call him Lord, and Osha, Lewin asked Osha why she went south of the wall, and she replied, "There are things sleeping under the ice, woo, which aren't sleeping anymore." That's ominous. Okay. Osha goes to Winterfell's Godswood to pray and tells Bran that north of the wall, the old gods are the only gods. She also says that Robb is leading his army in the wrong direction, right? Not south. He should be going north. That's what she said. After Bran dreams that he saw his father in the catacombs of Winterfell, Osha carries him down there to check, and inside they are surprised to find Rickon there, since he experienced the same dream. Lewin tells them that he's dead, that they're just being crazy. All right. I tried to condense show stuff. I've been requested, like, you don't have to cover too much of the show stuff, but I don't want to condense it too much, especially because I want to bring up all the stuff that are the differences. So this is one of those 3 sliders. 3 slides is the most I'm going to do for a show character. If I decide I'm going to do what's the difference for a character and I can't condense it down to 3 and the character ends up being too long, I won't do them. So I try to at least be 3 slides, which is still a lot. All right, going north. Osha continues to discuss Bran's strange dreams with him. He insists on being taken to the pool of the Godswood. She correctly predicts that the red comet in the sky signifies the returns of dragons to the world. Yeah, she knew. That's kind of crazy. She guessed it right. They talk about the 3-eyed raven, but Osha doesn't know about a 3-eyed raven. Theon infiltrates and seizes Winterfell. And yeah, later on, Osha offers to fight for Theon, but he refuses, suspecting treachery. Yeah. So in the show, she's like, "I'll fight for you." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't trust you." Trust those instincts. Osha is also present with Bran and Rickon when Theon personally executes Roderick. Oof. Later in the night, Osha seduces Theon and wants freedom in exchange for a good old banging. After Osha escapes with Bran, Rickon, and Summer, Shaggy Dog, and Hodor, killing a guard, Drennan, they make their exit. So yeah, she ends up seducing Theon to escape. The escapees find their way back, and they like double back, right, and hide in the crypts. Later, Luwin spots Osha smuggling bread into the catacombs and follows her in, and they speak. After the sack of Winterfell, she mercy kills Luwin, and then they all head north. Fleeing from Winterfell, Bran's group encounter Jojen and Mira Reed. Mira Reed is friend of the channel, of course. They take turns pulling sharp objects on each other and stuff, right? Like a spear and a knife. Jojen claims that they've received visions, or he has received visions, which told him to find Bran, like where to find Bran, and that he would need his help. Yeah, like visions told me to find you, and I'm here to help, right? Mira and Osha argue about hunting and skinning animals and stuff. Osha thinks that Jojen's shaking is black magic, and Jojen says that Jon is north of the wall. Osha ultimately decides that she doesn't like black magic, but Bran decides that they are going to find the three-eyed raven. Osha is outraged and says that she will never go back north of the wall again. Then explains that she fled the south to get away from all that stuff. She tells the story about her husband, the one that I said earlier, the one who became a white. The group splits, right? So that evening, the party takes shelter in an abandoned mill to escape a thunderstorm. Later, the group observe a band of wildlings chasing down a lone Northman. Bran then wargs into Hodor, who becomes frightful of the storm, to which Osha attempts to calm him. She's like trying to calm down Hodor. But, you know, he's got like Bran going in and out of his head. He's freaking out. Later, Bran wargs Summer and Shaggy Dog and then fights off the wildlings. The party of wildlings includes Jon Snow, his brother, who had been, possibly brother, right? You know what I mean. Who had been earlier taken captive by the free folk. Using warg abilities, Bran helps Jon Snow escape from his captors and return to the Night's Watch. Later that night, Bran sends Osha and Rickon to Last Hearth, home of a great Jon Umber, as well as a loyal ally of the Starks. Rickon is upset, but Osha realizes that this is for his own good, like we have to split up, and likes it because she doesn't want to go north. So it kind of like works out for everybody. I don't want to go north of the wall, and this is going to protect you. So they break off, and then they break up the group with Rickon and Shaggy Dog. So the Reeds and Bran and Summer and Hodor go north, right? And Osha, Rickon Stark, Bran's brother, and Shaggy Dog go to Last Hearth. Yeah. So now some season 6 stuff. I'm not a big fan of what I'm about to say, but it's what the show decided. Osha and Rickon are betrayed by small Jon Umber, who delivers them to Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay later has Osha brought to him, and he asks her, Rickon, and House Stark stuff, right? Osha pretends to have been a slave and said that she was that she carried around Rickon to find a buyer for him. She's like trying to be like, no, I'm evil like you. I don't like the Starks. And she also tries to seduce Ramsay like she did with Theon in the show, but only to get him distracted and try to kill him with a knife. But Ramsay says that Theon told him about her, and then he stabs her first. And then a surprise Osha falls to the floor and quickly bleeds to death. Yeah, I'm not going to play Poochie's dead for Osha. I like Osha too much, and I don't like what they did with her in the show. I'm not a big fan of later seasons. I'm not here to complain about that. I don't like making negative content, but not a big fan of how they do Osha dirty in the show, and pretty much that whole storyline. What happens with Rickon and the fact that we're small John. Moving on. All right, so let's move over to the book. So we're gonna talk about Osha, and then all the stuff she did in the book. So spoilers again. And then afterwards, we're going to cover the differences. So yeah, book Osha. Osha is tall, lean, standing a head taller than Robb Stark, so she's pretty tall, and she has a hard face. Me too. Shaggy brown hair and is flat-chested. Her body bears many scars. Osha is a spearwife from the north. Bran Stark compares her long spear to a steel-headed serpent. Oh, that's kind of cool. She is described tough and uncomplaining. Like most wildlings, she worships the old gods and is knowledgeable about them, as well as the lands beyond the wall and their inhabitants. She had a brother who at some point killed a 10-foot tall, some point killed a 10-foot tall female giant. All right. That's something I left in. All right. The Wolveswood. So yeah. So this is where she comes in the books. Osha travels with 3 other wildlings and a pair of Night's Watch deserters named Stev and Wallen. The group flees south of the wall, trying to escape the others. They cross the wall and make their way to the Wolveswood north of Winterfell, where they find the crippled Bran Stark. So Bran, this is after Bran gets like the designs to like be shackled to the horse, like that Tyrion gives him. So yeah, so this is his ride through Winterfell, and he kind of rides too far ahead of his companions, so he's by himself in the Wolveswood when they come across him. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, Bran is finally getting to ride outside of Winterfell in his oversized saddle Tyrion Lannister designed for him. He rides past the others and then finds himself alone. Bran is getting anxious about the others when 4 ragged men and 2 women surround him. Bran can tell that they are not farmers or anything like that, and suddenly he remembers how richly he is dressed. He's like, oh yeah, no, they're definitely going to mess with me. The biggest man asks if he is lost, and Bran says that his guards will be along shortly. He's like, no, I'm right with my guards. Please don't mess with me. The outlaws demand his silver pin in his horse. When Bran tries to explain that he cannot dismount because his legs do not work, they do not believe him. Finally, Osha sees the straps. A short woman named Hallie asks if he is a cripple. Angered, because he doesn't like that word, neither do I, Bran declares that he is Brandon Stark of Winterfell, dang it, and that they had better let go of his horse or they will be dead. Wallen proclaims that only a Stark would threaten when a smaller man would beg. Yeah, it's like, yeah, dude, you must be a Stark because you're threatening us. Hallie tells the others to cut off his wee-wee. Don't do that. Ouch. No, Hallie, what's your problem, man? Osha tells Hallie that she is as stupid as she is ugly. Bars. And that Mance Rayder will pay well for Kingsman of Benjen Stark. Suddenly, Robb calls out for them to surrender. Bran sees that Robb is still mounted with the body of an elk over the back of his horse. The outlaws only laugh and point out that Robb is outnumbered and that he should surrender. Right? Still in the Wolveswood, part 2. Then the direwolves appear at Robb's whistle. So he whistles and a bunch of direwolves appear. Robb charges, killing one of the men and riding down Osha when she overextends with her spear. So she tries to stab at him, but misses, right? Overextends, and then he rides her down. At the same time, Greywind kills Wallen and the other unnamed man while Summer tears open Hallie's body. Yeah, it's described in the book is like super gruesome. Like when the direwolves take out this group of wildlings, it is like, you know, like, oh my god, like it ain't. Yeah, it's gruesome. So it's a little messed up. So now facing Robb and the direwolves alone, Stiv finishes cutting Bran free and holds a knife to Bran's throat. Stiv tells Robb to drop his sword, and Robb slowly complies. He listens. Bran can see that Osha is still alive. Stiv commands Osha to kill the wolves, but she refuses to go anywhere near them. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Instead, Stiv orders Robb to kill the wolves. Bran screams no, right? Knowing that they will defend the defenseless without knowing that they will be defenseless without the wolves. Like, no, don't kill them. They're our defense. Suddenly an arrow comes from Theon Greyjoy's bow and it bursts through Steve's chest. So, or Stev or Steve. So keep in mind, he's like holding Bran. Stev is holding Bran at knife point. So that's like a super risky shot. Like he could have hit Bran. All right. So the Stark Guardsmen appear and Osha is throws down her spear and surrenders. The question of what to do with Osha comes up. The woman drops to her knee and begs Robb to spare her, proclaiming that she will serve him. When Robb asks what use they might be from an oath breaker, she insists that she is a wildling and she broke no oath, right? I didn't come from the wall. I wasn't a night watch person, right? I never broke an oath. Theon suggests that they give her to the wolves, wow, which causes Osha to shudder and even some guardsmen to look queasy. Like, oh my God, you want to feed her to the wolves? That's messed up. Maester Luwin advises that they question her, so Robb orders her bound and brought back to Winterfell. So, yeah, I kind of skip over like Robb yelling at Theon for taking that shot because it's really risky. That happens too. But yeah, so it's pretty close to the scene in the show, but slightly different. We'll get to that later. All right, so a wildling in Winterfell. Osha goes to pray at to the old gods in the Godswood of Winterfell, and comes upon Bran when he finishes his prayers. She is wearing chains on her legs. Bran is surprised at her ability to move quietly while in shackles. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And she tells him that she can hear the gods answering him. Like, yeah, so he's talking to the gods and she's like, I can hear him. When Summer comes around the pool to sniff her, she flinches. Yeah, because she watched the direwolves like eat her friends or companions at least, right? Bran calls Summer back and asks Osha whom she has not seen since, so he talks to her who he has not seen since she was taken captive. What she is doing here, the Spearwife replies that they are her gods too, and that only gods north of the wall, that they are the only gods north of the wall. Like, hey, the old gods are the only gods, right? For me. Bran notes that she looks more womanly with her long hair and long dress of a brown rough spun. She tells Bran that Gage, who she works for in the kitchens, lets her out to do her prayers from time to time while she lets him do what he wants under her skirt. Yeah, okay. It's nothing to her, and she likes the smell of flowers on his hands, and he's gentler than stiff. Yeah, so she lets Gage, the cook, like kind of mess around, and that gives her chance to go out and pray. It's a little messed up. But yeah, she said she doesn't mind. And yeah, it lets her go out to the Godswood. These books. All right. The two bond to a degree, right? Because they're both talking about the old gods, sharing a common devotion to the old gods. She tells him that when the weirwood leaves are rustling in the wind, it means that the old gods are listening, right? It doesn't mean it's windy. It just means the old gods are replying. She also says that the old gods have no power in the south because the weirwoods are gone. She makes the giant's blood joke, seeing Hodor naked. Yeah, she does it in the show too, and tells Bran that about humans banging giants. She's like, oh, look at how much Hodor is packing. He must have giant's blood. Yeah, that's not just a show joke. That's a book joke. And then he's like, giant's blood? And she goes, yeah, man, giants bang humans all the time. He's a kid, Osha. What are you talking? Don't tell him all that stuff. She says that Robb, who is marching south, is going in the wrong direction. Again, straight from the show. And that she has been trying to warn him that the others are coming, but he just has been ignoring her. So yeah, the crypts. Tales from the crypts, if you will. Bran dreams that he sees his father, Lord Eddard Stark, in the crypt of Winterfell. Again, pretty close. Maester Luwin summons Osha to carry Bran and goes down to the crypts with him. Osha tells them that she has lived beyond the wall and that a hole in the ground will not scare her because of Osha's good behavior, her chains have been removed, but the shackles remain to show that she is not entirely trusted, but she doesn't have the chains anymore. She carries Bran in her arms. The vault seems very dark and gloomy, and Summer and Osha seem uncomfortable. Yeah, she's like, I live beyond the wall. I'm not afraid of some hole in the ground. And then she gets down there and she's like, it is a little spooky, though. When Bran states that the men represented it by the granite statues were all kings of winter, Osha tells him that winter has no king, and that if he had seen winter, he would know that. I love that line because it's kind of like the entire Stark legacy, right? Like, oh, we were the kings of winter. And she's like, you can't be the king of winter. Look, winter don't have no king. And she's right. I live in a very cold climate myself. While I'm filming this, it is currently under 0 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Like, dude, there ain't no king of this. It's cold. it's untamed. It is unconquered winter. All right. I guess, we live in warm houses. I guess we've kind of conquered winter. They proceed down the long corridor past all the statues, but Summer refuses to leave the steps. Bran tells of the accomplishments of different lords and kings of Winterfell. Yeah, he's like a nerd, he's pointing out who all the statues are. And they are surprised in the catacombs by Shaggy Dog, who jumps out and savages Maester Luwin's arm. Wow, Shaggy Dog, calm down. Bran calls for Summer, who runs down, remember, because he was like kind of afraid to come in, and then slams into Shaggy Dog, knocking him off Luwin. Osha goes to assist Luwin as the wolves fight. Rickon appears near Eddar's tomb, telling Luwin that to leave his father be. When Bran tells Rickon that his father is not there, Rickon states that he saw him last night in his dream and that he is coming home. So yeah, both of them have prophetic dreams, prophecy dreams, not pathetic. Prothetic? I can't say that word. That Ned died, right? So they return to Luwin's tower where Osha bandages up Maester Luwin's wounds, right? Because he got savaged by Shaggy Dog. Osha continues to work in the kitchens, often giving Bran advice when she bathes in the Godswood. Yeah, because she goes and bathes in the Godswood. Sounds like a nice place to bathe. During one of their conversations, Osha reveals to Bran that she once killed a Night's Watch ranger. Ooh, wow. Hardcore. All right, so the fall of Winterfell. So after Winterfell is taken by the Turncloak Theon Greyjoy and his Ironborn, Theon has the all of Winterfell's people gather in the Great Hall so that they can hear Bran yield to him. The Stark prisoner Reek, I'm not going to get in the Reek, bends his knee to Theon and is set free. So then Osha steps up, saying to Theon that she is a captive too, which he knows as he was there when she was taken, right? Like Theon was there, shot good old Stevie. Bran is hurt and disappointed by this betrayal, as he thought she was a friend. Osha says that she is tired of scrubbing pots and warming Gage's bed, and that she wants a spear in her hand again. The Ironborn Stig harasses her, and in response, Osha knees him in the balls, ouch, and then knocks him to the ground with the butt of his own spear. Well, the other Ironborn laugh. Yeah, she just knocks out Stig. I don't like Stig. So yeah, good on her. Theon laughs as well. Everybody laughs at Stig getting hit in the balls. And it tells her to keep the spear, and then she bends a knee. However, not long after, Osha secretly escapes Winterfell with Bran and Rickon Stark and Jojen and Mira Reed and Hodor. So the Reeds are already there. We'll get to that, the differences. Along with the direwolves, Summer and Shaggy Dog. She kills an Ironborn named Drennan in the process, seducing him before cutting his throat with his own knife. During Theon's hunt for the escapees, Maester Luwin convinces him to show mercy on the children in Hodor if they are found. Theon says that he will not spare Osha, as she pissed on the oath that she swore to him. Yeah, like as if she was ever actually, she didn't mean that oath. Anybody knew that. But she kicked the dude in the balls, so it was very convincing, I guess. Different pass. So unknown to Theon, the group is actually hiding in the crypts. So yeah, they double back and go into the crypts just like in the show. While they are hiding, Reek reveals himself as Ramsay Snow and betrays Theon, dun, 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 and orders the sack of Winterfell. So yeah, burning it to the ground. It's pretty rough. I don't like the sack of Winterfell. It's not very cool. When Bran sees through summer that Winterfell is empty and on fire, Osha decides that they go above ground. She takes the sword from Eddard Stark's tomb, which is the last sword that Mikken, the blacksmith, made. It's kind of hardcore and awesome, actually, right? So they have statues and then swords over all the lords of Winterfell and kings of winter, if you will. They have big statues made out of them with swords over their like lap. But making the sword, Mikken made the sword for Ned's tomb, even though Ned's not up there yet, of course. Ned's bones is like a whole thing. But yeah, so they needed a sword. So Mikken made that sword right before Theon took over and right before the sack of Winterfell. So it's like a fresh sword, right? I believe Hodor takes the sword too. I didn't write that down because it's in a video for Hodor. Osha realizes, sorry, where was I? It's the last sword Mikken made. They emerge to find Winterfell in ruins and filled with corpses, which angers Osha. Osha realizes that it is not Theon who sacked Winterfell because as many Ironborn are among the slain, but it's someone from Roose Bolton. Yeah, she figures it out. She's like, this was not Theon. They find the mortally wounded Maester Luwin in the Godswood, and Osha agrees with him that the Stark brothers should be split up for safety before she leaves the Godswood. She grants Maester Luwin the gift of mercy upon his request. Yeah, he asks to be like mercy killed, and she does it. So when she returns, so they all leave, and then she stays and takes care of Luwin. It's really sad. I like Luwin. It is decided that Bran will go north and search for the Crow with the Reeds, and Hodor and Summer. Well, Osha will go with Rickon and Shaggy Dog south, perhaps to White Harbor or Last Hearth. Heading north to the Wall, Bran remembers that Osha had once told him that the blue star in the dragon's or the ice dragon's eye pointed north. Yeah, she told Bran where the North Star was. Very useful when you're traveling north. He wonders how Osha and Rickon are doing and if they found their way to House Manderley or to House Umber. At White Harbor, so later on, this is somebody else completely, this is Davos Seaworth, learns from Wex Pike, who survived the sack of King's Landing by hiding in the Heart Tree in the Godswood. So in the Godswood, when they go in there and they see Maester Luwin and they make the decision to split, Wex Pike, who is Theon's squire, is hiding up in the tree. I did a video for Wex Pike. You can go check it out. Wex is a really cool character. So when Davos is there, long story, right? He's with the Manderleys in White Harbor. I don't want to get into it. There's a lot going on there. Again, watch the Wex Pike video. Wex tells him that he sees them in the Godswood, and then afterwards he follows Osha and Rickon. And then Wex reveals that Osha has taken Rickon and Shaggy Dog to Skagos. So according to Wex Pike, they're in Skagos, and Davos is actually sent to Skagos to go get Osha, Shaggy Dog, and Rickon. So cool. I can't wait to see how that is resolved. I'll get to it. So there you guys go. That's all we know about them. Of course, they are not captured by Ramsay or any of that stuff in the book. They are currently most likely in Skagos, according to Wex Pike. All right, so let's talk about the differences. So this was a request by D'Angelo Hammersham. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. But yeah, thank you for the request. This is awesome. Osha, again, kind of a really big character, but yeah, there's some notable differences here. And I really like Osha. You kind of forget about her in the later books, but you forget how big of a character she is in the earlier books. And yeah, she's a really good character. She kind of, like I said, she kind of disappears, right? So small differences at first and then big differences. The group she's with is smaller in the show, in the Godswood in the show, right? Like it's only her and a couple other, but in the book, it's a couple more people. The Reeds show up in Winterfell during the Harvest Feast in the book. They're not like found up north later on and all that, like, yeah, the whole scene where Mira Reeds comes up, friend of the channel, and like threatens her, and they put spears and swords on each other. None of that happens, right? They come in during the harvest festival and they split up before they even go north, right? So, yeah. And then yeah, she gets rejected by Theon to join him in the show. So she like kicks the dude in the balls and joins Theon in the books, but not in the show. She tries and he's like, dude, treachery. I'm not doing it. Shenanigans. So she enjoys and she seduces Theon in the show, but in the book she seduces the other guy who she kills, right? So different seducing going on. And they split at Winterfell. Yeah, not after they head north and fights with mirror reeds. So all that stuff, right? So this is mostly small differences. There's of course some other kind of smaller ones, like you know, like the stuff in the crypt goes slightly differently with like Shaky Dog biting Lewin and stuff like that. But yeah, so of course the major difference, of course, is the whole being turned in by Small John and then killed by Ramsay. So that never happened. She is not killed by Ramsay, and it wasn't Small John. Small John dies at the Red Wedding in the book, and he's like a very nice and loyal man. So I think they do him dirty as well. So they definitely do Osha dirty with that ending. I don't like that ending at all. They're just trying to make Ramsay look more fierce. Like, oh, and he kills a fan favorite Osha. It's crap. It's crap. It's crap. And then yeah, they do Small John dirty. Like Small John's like Ramsay's like right hand man or whatever in the show, but in the book he's Robb Stark's right hand man. He joins his honor guard and dies at the Red Wedding, doing him dirty. All right. Anyways, I'll stop saying that. Yeah, I really friggin' hope that Davos gets to them and Ramsay does not. I really hope that ending isn't the same for them. I really hope Ramsay doesn't somehow get to kill Osha and take Rickon captive. I look forward to a lot of wins, right? Like Winds of Winter, of course, I'm absolutely looking forward if it ever gets put out, right? If he ever finishes it. But the fate of Osha and Rickon in Skagos is like top 3 things I'm looking forward to for sure. Like what's going on in Skagos. I am super intrigued. Of course, there are other things I'm intrigued about, but that storyline is like up there. I'm not writing them down and listing them, but I'm assuming they would be up there. All right, there you guys go. I told you it was going to be a long one, and it was. Sorry if I'm a little tired. And yeah, this is this is the second to last video. I'm filming the other one right after this that are filmed in this spot. So after this, I'm moving. We bought a house, me and the wife and the kids, and we actually have another kid along the way. So we have just one now, and we're about to have another one. And yeah, so we needed a bigger house. We bought a house, and this is the last time you're going to see this background. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. So not last time. You get one more video, right? So the video that's coming out Saturday will also have this background, right? So that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, what'd you guys think of Osha? That's all I got, man. Thank you for the request, and peace.